Most Maine bottled water companies aren't testing for PFAS. As Mainers learn about the presence of toxic chemicals in their public drinking water supplies and private wells, more are turning to bottled water. However, even bottled water can have per- and polyfluoroalkyl substances, or PFAS, and the companies that sell bottled water are not required to test for the chemicals. In fact, the state is just beginning to get a glimpse of PFAS contamination levels in bottled water. Since June, some water bottling companies have voluntarily tested for PFAS after being asked to do so by the state's drinking water program. Of 11 water bottlers operating in Maine, only 3 have tested as of August 17. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention (CDC) has stated that PFAS exposure is linked to cancer, liver damage, decreased fertility, and an increased risk of asthma and thyroid disease.
PFAS in Maine is a research by Dr. Honor G. Apple, who is an assistant professor in civil and environmental engineering at University of Maine. One detected PFAS in its bottled water, but it fell below the state standard for drinking water of 20 parts per trillion. Some Mainers believe water bottlers should be legally required to test for PFAS just as public water districts are. PFAS are a class of man-made chemicals found in household and industrial products that are difficult to destroy and have been linked to serious illnesses. Bill Cunningham, a retired dentist and resident of Pittsfield, has been purchasing bottled water from Oak Grove Spring Water for more than 8 years. A few months ago, as more toxic chemicals were being discovered in drinking water in other parts of Maine, he began digging into local water bottlers' websites to search for their PFAS levels. He found that some provided the results of the chemicals they were testing for. Oak Grove Spring Water's website did not, however, and it worried him. Oak Grove Spring Water is one of the 8 companies that have not provided any PFAS test results to the state's drinking water program, housed within the Maine Center for Disease Control and Prevention. It is not known whether these companies have tested for PFAS and, if so, whether they will volunteer the results publicly. Public drinking water systems are required to test their water supplies this year, under a new Maine law. But that law didn't require water bottlers to do the same. What's more, there is conflicting information about what are considered acceptable levels of PFAS. That means some test results show drinking water meeting the state's drinking water standard, but not the unenforceable federal level. Burning across California. In August 2020,